Welcome to the UN Brief. Today we interviewed Asad Naqvi. He's the head of Secretariat at the Partnership for Action on the Green Economy. It is a unique partnership of 5 UN agencies: the United Nations Environment Programme, the International Labour Organization, the UNDP, UNIDO, and UNITAR. They focus on growth, jobs, and the sustainable development goals for climate action. Thank you for watching the UN Brief, and don't forget to subscribe.
The world is facing two big challenges at this moment. One is the economic challenge, so the challenge of inequality, the challenge of unemployment, the challenge of stagnated economic growth, which is made worse by COVID-19 now. And then, of course, there is a triple planetary challenge, which is the challenge of climate change, pollution, and nature loss or biodiversity loss. So the idea of PAGE was to help countries in tackling the two challenges together. And that's how the 5 UN agencies came together, that we will support countries in their economic development planning, in their job creation planning, in their industrial development planning, in their financial and economic development planning, in a way that they can achieve their goals of economic development. But then this whole planning is aimed at global sustainability challenges. So you reduce your emissions, you reduce pollution, you reduce nature loss.
How does that work operationally?
So the difficult part was to create the framework, a programming framework in which 5 UN agencies can work together. So we created a multi-partner trust fund in New York, and that is common for all 5 UN agencies. So we receive the funds there, and then the agencies receive funding from that. But in terms of answering your question, it's fairly simple. The simple is that when 5 UN agencies go together to a government as one program, we are able to mobilize the 5 counterpart ministries. So UNEP brings the Ministry of Environment, but then you have ILO, which brings the Ministry of Employment and Labor Creation. You have UNIDO, which brings the Ministry of Industry. You have UNITAR, which brings the human development, education, capacity building type thing, and UNDP, which then brings the finance, national planning, and poverty. So that's how it works. So when we go there, we mobilize 5 ministries. Then together with the 5 ministries, we develop the country development plan. So the nice thing about this is, number one, the 5 agencies come together. Number 2, the government, 5 ministries come together. And in many cases, it's the first time 5 government ministries are together talking about a green issue. Yeah. So that's the beauty of it. And then that inspires that, 5 agencies have their networks. So, for example, I give you the example of UNEP, that it has its environment civil society, it has environment youth movement, it has environment private sector. So all of them are also mobilized, and that creates a really big network in every country. So you take the 5 agencies, their counterparts, but also their networks from civil society, private sector, finance, and youth. So that's how PAGE has been able to really push forward this movement.
And what is your budget, actually?
We would say we are modest, but well-financed program in that sense. So we have 8 funding partners. So we have 8 donor countries who support us. And we have mobilized about $80 million for these efforts. We have a global program which benefits capacity building and training programs, and 96 countries have benefited from it. But then we provide a 5-year package of support to each country for deeper economic reframing around sustainability. And now we are working with 20 countries on that one. And we will take 2 more in 2022.
Of course, you have participated at COP26. You seem to have been a little bit ahead of the curve. The Partnership for Action on Green Economy, you've been in existence before. The environment became so central in our discussions in terms of sustainable development.
The credit goes to the whole of the environment community, which is larger than PAGE, which is larger than even UNEP or larger than UN system. Now we see, the private sector is coming on board. The youth movement has made a huge difference in people's thinking. And that's where really the hope is. And then the bigger hope is coming from finance. If you look at the financial portfolios of the big 143 investors, they are looking for opportunities to make their portfolios really green and climate neutral. The other big thing that we saw at COP26 was this commitment to climate neutrality. So even those countries where the pollution levels are very high, they are committing themselves to climate neutrality by certain times. So latest by 2060, 2070, and these are the countries which have limited resources. But if you look at those who have resources, they are talking about 2035, which looks really close. So that is one big thing. Number two, there is an increasing realization that we saw at the discussions in COP26 that climate agenda is not seen as an environmental agenda. It is seen as an economic growth agenda. It is seen as an opportunity to create new jobs. It is seen as an opportunity to diversify your economies, to make your products more competitive because you can reduce energy bills and material inputs that you put into a product. You see this now coming up as a trade agenda because there's a huge demand from the consumers for environmentally friendly products, starting from biocotton in jeans to the vegetables market and to the housing market and the new standards that are emerging for building and construction and infrastructure. So it's a big way forward. And that's where I think we need to capitalize on this as a UN system, that now we need to lead this. We need to turn this passion into action. And that's where the role of the UN comes in. The other big thing that I think we saw coming up is the role of the digital economy. Nobody was looking at digital economy, and now we see that there are alliances coming up, including some where Page has been able to provide very humble support on putting sustainability or hardwiring sustainability into digital economy.
Planned for the upcoming year, do you have, you mentioned you're working with 20 countries and that 2 more will be added. How does the process of selecting the countries happens, and do you have these countries, and can you tell us a little bit about what is in the agenda?
That Page has a strategy for 2021-2030. So we want to align ourselves with the 2030 agenda, and we want to be a humble and modest contributing to achieving the SDGs by 2030. So that is one thing. That's our long-term plan. In the short-term plan, yes, there is a huge interest by countries to join Page. The way it works is that we launch open call for proposals. And one of the criteria, as I was mentioning to you, is that it is important that the ministries come together, the government comes together to advance the economy as a driver for environmental sustainability. So this year, yeah, we will take 2 because that's where our new resources are available for, but there were 15 countries who have sent their interest in joining Page. Number 2, I think there is an opportunity to leapfrog or make a quantum next step, which is that the Development Coordination Office, DCO, as you know them, after the UN reforms, they have reached out to Page, that can the Page model be applied to all countries and support the UN country teams in all the countries? And we are looking at that option. We think that that's a great opportunity, that the UN system can play a role in helping countries in addressing their economic and environmental challenges together.
And don't forget to subscribe. This was produced and presented by Maya Plants, Editor-in-Chief at the UN Brief. Thank you for watching and listening. Don't forget to subscribe.